Nancy. Nancy had some revelations, though. This is the point where I come clean about something because I knew about this revelation.
Oh.
So did I.
I was aware of something, but I didn't know it was this. I did not know this was coming. I remember when we watched the Tom Swift episode, there was something I was retroactively looking back and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Now it makes sense. But no, I did not see this revelation coming. Am I wrong in saying I was not ready for it, even though Reed tried to prepare us for it with his message by saying, you guys, this episode, I was ready for something, but I wasn't ready for that. So this is my unfiltered, authentic reaction and just, wow, did not see that coming.
Yeah, it was a big one. This is something I remember after I stopped watching it originally in 2019. I went back, when the episode premiered, I remember seeing like a recap or something like, let me see what happened. I was like, oh, okay, that happened. I do, before we get into dissecting the episode, I was going to say discuss, and then I said dissect. I want to throw out a trigger warning because the episode did deal with suicide. So throwing that out there, stop listening right now if that's not something you want to hear about. But yeah, Nancy finds Lucy Sable's journal, and that kind of answers all the questions until the last one that she needs to be answered. It was a really heavy episode.
It was. And I feel like if you went into it not knowing, this episode would blow you away. I don't think, I was trying to think, like, I got spoiled by tweets actually. Because I think Kennedy had tweeted something about the necklaces she was wearing, and she was like, "Yeah, it's for both her moms." And I was like, "Both her moms?" And then I saw another picture. It was like, she's like, Nancy's two dads. I was like, oh. So like episode, I think 12 of season 2 started making a little bit more sense to me. But I just think that it's not something that you would immediately guess that that's the direction that they were going in. Maybe in this episode where she's like, I'll just give my hair for a mother-daughter connection. I was like, oh no, it's this episode.
Yeah, and then when they went into Lucy's house, they saw the wasps nests, bees, hornets, and Ryan was like, I'm allergic, and Nancy was like, me too. And they just kind of kept going. So I picked up I don't think they've laid any Easter eggs out in any of the other episodes. Maybe if you were looking for it, you would see it, but that was like the most on the nose. Like, this is coming. But yeah, just to explain, Lucy wrote in her journal a suicide note that she was going to die by suicide. And I'll explain it. Should we get into it? I'll get into it.
Yeah.
So Nancy revealed all that on the stand at her father's trial to prove his innocence. And everyone's like blown away, like, yeah, he didn't do it. It was Lucy did it herself, because at that time she thought Lucy had stolen a knife from her parents' home. And the reason why Carson's fingerprint was on it was because it was a knife from his home. But come to find out that when Nancy found out about the mother-daughter match, it wasn't who she believed to have been her mother. It was her and Lucy. And she is the daughter of Lucy Sable and Ryan Hudson and Carson. And what's her mom's name?
I do not remember.
I don't either. Not particularly important to this description, but Nancy's parents were there when Lucy was on the cliff, and Lucy gave them Nancy, the baby that she had just had, because she was running away from Ryan's father. And before Carson and Nancy's mother can stop Lucy, she had already died by suicide and fell off the cliff. And Carson went down to try to find her, but he only found the dress. So that's why he had the dress in the house. A whole situation that Nancy did not see coming.
No, it was emotionally a lot. And where she started the episode emotionally, where she ends up, it's just really turned upside down by this news. And you can kind of see why Carson was willing to let her believe whatever she needed to believe during this case, with exception to having killed Lucy, because this was a lot. Like, this is something that he has kept quiet her entire life. I also felt like he gave her a bit of not necessarily hope, but I think it would have been important for her to, like, did Lucy commit suicide or did she just slip? Like, they'll never know because they weren't looking at the time. And which part is, I think obviously her committing suicide is sad, but it's also sad if um, she had decided to walk away from that moment after having had Nancy and she didn't get that chance. Like, it speaks to, Nancy was right on that stand about how the real killer, like, yes, the idea was that Lucy killed herself, but she was driven to that by an entire town. Like, you drove an 18-year-old girl to a cliff, like, because of how you treated her, because of rumors from
making up
grown
rumors,
people.
yeah.
Mhm.
And they were grown, like, these are real grown adults with their own child who were shaming another, like, a child they didn't want their son to be with. And it drove her to she got so depressed that she ended up on the cliffside. Like, this is the town's fault. And then they perpetuated a ghost story about her. Like, it just is worse. It's like the more you learn about what happened to Lucy Sable, the more angry I get about Horseshoe Bay
Mhm.
and the people who live there. It's not a cute little town in Maine. Like, they're actually not great people. I mean, obviously there are good people there, but as far as like the town and the way it's characterized, it's not great.
And that scene with Nancy on the stand where she was reading it as it actually happened, so that she wasn't just like, this is my evidence. She told the story from start through finish, like any good like prosecutor or whatever would. And it was such a powerful scene because you could see it hit her as she read it as well. Like like Nancy is so good at this. She usually has like a stone cold face when it comes to like investigating and things like that. But I feel like the fact that it hit her, she felt that connection with Lucy before she knew the truth. And I feel like that made me feel a lot as well because it was such a powerful moment, especially the fact you could see everyone in the court feel it as well. That was an incredibly powerful and moving scene. And Kennedy did such a great job with that great material.
Especially in the scene with her father, because she, just based on the DNA, she's smart enough, she pieced it all together. She knew she was Lucy's baby in that moment, but she was like, I need to hear it, the truth from you. No more of the secrets. Like, we've come too far. Like, the ship has sailed. Everything needs to be revealed, and she wants to hear it from him. And the way he chose his words, where I thought it was so moving. He never said it was you until she said I was that baby. Like, he just kept saying how he and his wife were taking in Lucy's baby and promised to give her a good life and keep her away from all of this. And it was, I'm we don't get to see, we haven't seen yet Lucy, or not Lucy, oh my gosh, Nancy's reaction to all that, how she feels about any of that. We don't know if she'll be angry, if a weight's been lifted, or if she's going to be re-energized to like continue to find more out about where she came from. And but the scene too where Ryan was like, you don't have to deal with my family anymore. I was like,
No,
that's not the truth. That's not the truth, Ellen.
This is just, it's a lot for all of them to be able to navigate, really. I mean, once, because they have to tell Ryan at some point. And then I did like how Carson asserted himself as her father. Like, regardless of everything that happened, Nancy is his. And that's his perspective on it. That has never changed, never wavered. She's his to love and his to protect, the same, and that's the way her mom felt too. And I just thought, tiptoeing around it, like, even with him being as direct as he possibly could be, but also trying to make sure that she doesn't feel displaced in his heart. That scene was very emotional, and they did amazingly with it. I loved all the Nancy parts in the episode. I wasn't a fan of the best parts, and I wasn't a fan of the Phantom parts, but the Nancy parts I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was with Bess because George and Nick were getting on my nerves. I was like, can you guys like knock it off for today? Not about you right now.
Oh, it felt manufactured. I think that's why I didn't like it. Like, I felt like,
yeah, it felt like they hit fast forward a little bit.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm not here yet. Why are they here?
The fact that things were going very good at the start and they had that, well, double entendre conversation about sleeping on the couch and everything. And I was like, okay, we're moving very fast. Of course, there had to be some conflict afterwards, but it felt incredibly forced as well. Yeah, it was fine, but like the standard of the rest of the episode was so high, it felt that was a little bit below it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does, because Bess felt like a plot device in that moment, just so Nick could find out
Yeah.
about Nancy and Owen. I did appreciate Nancy's apology, because that definitely was not the way she. But I was like, girl, you weren't going to tell him that anyway. It's not like you and Owen are together. But like, sure, you didn't want him to find out this way. But like, it leads to
I was like, why? She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah,
there was part of that, and I know there was like a respect level because their relationship was very messy and like she did not treat him the best. But I was like, is she not allowed to do what she wants and live her life the way she wishes? It's a tricky situation.
It is, but I think it's specifically because it was Owen and he had been suspicious of Owen. Like he was worried about their attraction in the first place during their relationship. And she sleeps with him. Like she can do whatever she wants, but since that was a problem in their relationship, she would apologize, I think, for him finding out that way. Not that she would have told him that she slept with Owen. They're not in a relationship. She's in a relationship with neither of these men, but still. And it was interesting that they used it as like, oh, the grace period is over. I didn't realize y'all were going through a grace period. Did you want to get with George before that? What is happening in this dialogue? So I bumped past them. I didn't it didn't work for me. But the Ace stuff was nice. He was adorable throughout the entire episode.
I loved when he was in the cooler with just the bones, and Nancy calls him and is like, "Can you do this?" And he was like, "Yeah, just give me a minute." And he has the bones in his arm, and he's like trying to go on his phone and hack in. I was like, "Oh, sweet, sweet prince."
Yes.
I love how the awkward moment we were just talking about. Yeah, I know Bess has a reputation for being a little bit like quirky and awkward. I just don't think she would have done that to Nancy by screaming it out loud. So it was a little bit of an awkward moment. But I adored the fact that Ace was the one that kind of tried to break the ice, because they were all just kind of there not knowing what to say. And he just reaches across and picks up the box like bone time. And then like the forensic guy is like, we call this forensic analysis, but like Ace is like, no, bone time. It just broke the ice.
And he had it in the Hanukkah decoration.
I'm assuming that means he's Jewish, because I think it came from his house, because he said he made the clay dreidel.
He's very proud of that dreidel.
He was very proud of that dreidel, and he should be, because it was a beautiful dreidel. But now the aftermath, I cannot wait to the next episode, because I want to know how Nancy's doing. Yeah. Oh, right. Oh my God, we're almost done with season 1, and then we'll be on to season 2. This ship is not stopping at any point, because it's such a fantastic show. It's so great. Even though I was annoyed by 2 elements this episode, it's still a great series.